3, 2, 1, now.
India just test-fired the missile it hopes will one day replace its dependence on Russia. Project Kusha, India's own S-400 air defence system, successfully completed its maiden flight test off the coast of Odisha. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh called it a giant leap for the nation's air defence. 3 interceptor variants, a shared kill vehicle, and a price tag of over 21,000 crore rupees, all folding into Mission Sudarshan Chakra, India's 2035 vision for a nationwide missile shield. But here's the catch nobody is highlighting enough. Kusha isn't really to stop the one threat that worries India most, which is long-range ballistic missiles. So what exactly can Kusha do? Why does that gap matter? And how much of Mission Sudarshan Chakra is real hardware versus a roadmap still years from getting complete? Sindoor showed how long-range air defense can reshape an entire battlefield by threatening high-value aerial targets hundreds of kilometers away. But military planners also understood another reality. India cannot depend forever on imported systems. And that is why Project Kusha matters. It is not simply India's version of the S-400, it is India's attempt to own the technology, the production line, and eventually the future of long-range air defense of our nation. Here's the part that deserves more scrutiny. Kusha is designed to intercept fighter aircraft, drones, cruise missiles, precision-guided munitions, and large support aircraft like AWACS. But long-range ballistic missiles, the kind that China and Pakistan could theoretically fire from inside their own territory into our cities, sit outside Kusha's primary design envelope. And that job currently belongs to India's separate Ballistic Missile Defence program, the 2-tier Prithvi Air Defence and Advanced Air Defence System, which operates on an entirely different intercept logic built for missiles diving in from the edge of space. The M3 variant is being engineered with a hit-to-kill capability aimed at countering intermediate-range ballistic missiles, traveling at re-entry speeds close to Mach 12. But that capability remains in development, not confirmed operational reality. For now, the honest description of Kusha is a long-range shield against aircraft, drones and cruise missiles sitting in the gap between India's medium-range MRSAM at 80 kilometers and the S-400 at 400 kilometers. Anyone calling it a complete answer to ballistic missile threats is getting ahead of what's actually been tested. Which brings me to the test that took place on July 23rd. The DRDO carried out the maiden flight test of the long-range surface-to-air missile under Project Kusha. They launched it from APJ Abdul Kalam Island off the Odisha coast. Officially, Kusha is designated the Extended Range Air Defence System. It was cleared for development by the Cabinet Committee on Security. That was back in May 2022. The Defence Ministry went ahead and gave a procurement nod in September 2023 for 5 squadrons at a cost of roughly $2.7 billion. The design uses 3 interceptor variants, M1, M2 and M3, all sharing a common hit-to-kill vehicle. This is to speed up production and cut costs. Now, M1 covers 120 to 150 kilometers, M2 stretches to around 250 kilometers, and M3, the longest range version, reaches out to 350 kilometers, edging close to S-400's stated maximum of 400 kilometers. The comparison to the S-400 makes sense on paper. Both are long-range, mobile surface-to-air systems designed to protect large areas of airspace. But Kusha isn't meant to replace the S-400. It's going to complement it, filling the gap between India's medium-range systems and, of course, the Russian-supplied S-400. Now, eventually, they will approach a similar capability, but not for now. The distinction matters because of where India stands with its existing S-400 fleet, locally designated Sudarshan Chakra. Under the $5.4 billion deal with Russia, 3 of 5 contracted squadrons are already operational. A 4th began delivery in June this year. The 5th is pending. Now, Kusha exists precisely because relying entirely on imported systems, especially from a single supplier facing its own geopolitical pressures, is a strategic risk that India does not want. It's not a replacement story, it's a self-reliance story. But Kusha is one building block inside something much larger. Mission Sudarshan Chakra, it was unveiled in 2025. It is Prime Minister Modi's vision for a nationwide AI-enabled kinetic and electronic air defense shield for India. Now, the idea is to integrate Kusha, an expanded S-400 fleet, and the next generation radar networks. And there's a target completion date of 2035 attached to it. Now, the stated purpose is explicit. This is built around defending against simultaneous two-front threats, reflecting India's long-standing planning of coordinated pressure from Pakistan and China. It also links into a wider Indian missile ecosystem already taking shape. The Pralay ballistic missile at 500 kilometers range, BrahMos now upgraded to 800 kilometers, and a land attack cruise missile in development targeting 1,000 kilometers. The bigger story is not one missile, it is India's changing defense philosophy. For decades, India bought strategic systems from abroad. Today, it wants to build them. The S-400 gave India capability. Project Kusha is going to give India capability and independence. The first successful flight test, of course, marks an important milestone. But more developmental and user trials, of course, remain before induction. If Kusha succeeds, India will possess one of the world's few indigenous long-range air defense systems. And that may ultimately become India's greatest strategic advantage, because in modern warfare, the strongest shield is the one that no foreign power can switch off. This is Times Axis, where global stories meet India's perspective. Click on the bell icon to subscribe, because the next big global shift will have India at its center.